All right, we're gonna get started. We're doing analyzing movement today with me. My name's Palmer Larsen. I'm a climbing coach up in Salt Lake City at Momentum Climbing. I'm down here in Joe's Valley with Sam here. She's gonna be joining in on the call. So we're going to some jumping back and forth in terms of adding people in, answering questions on the chat, and then we're going to be shooting over to a video that we pre-recorded that I'm going to talk over. So bear with me. We're going to be moving back and forth. So as with all these technology things, hopefully it all goes well. So I'm going to share my screen here to start. Okay. So just a couple intros here for the start, and then I'll back to me. Hey, my name is Palmer Larsen, and I'm the head coach here at Momentum Indoor Climbing. I've been climbing for 14 years and coaching for 7. I'm excited to share an exciting class with you guys today. We're going to be analyzing climbing movement on the moonboard. I've got 3 athletes here from the climbing team, and we'll be looking at movement and how you can learn to project better and understand your climbing better.
My name is Morgan Tadji. I'm 17 years old and I've been climbing for 7 years.
My name's Carly. I'm 13 years old and I've been climbing for 4.5 years.
My name's Cheyenne and I am 14 and I've been climbing for 9 years.
So just a bit overview of what we're going to touch on for today. So we're analyzing movement, like in there, Mathlete for Scarpa, Gnarly, Petzl, and E9. Everyone that is involved in this clinic, we're going to reach out. You guys are going to get a free Gnarly packet, so pay attention to that near the end. So a few things to start us off. So why do we care about good movement? A few different reasons why. So obviously, we all love climbing and a lot of outdoor activities and being active in our lives. So for injury prevention and the longevity in our life, right? We want to move well, whether it's climbing, running, biking. This is important to keep us healthy. Efficiency, there's more efficient and less efficient ways to move. And so if we understand these differences, we can learn to move better when we're on our projects, on our sport climbs, outdoors, bouldering, and we have a better chance to ascend. Performance, so whether this is a competition performance, performing in an outdoor project, if our movement efficiency and literacy is higher, we're going to be able to apply that on the wall better and quicker in the moment. We're not going to have to figure out as much during the process. So kind of just our first little example we're going to touch here. We all know how to walk from an early age, right? And so there's a really simple movement principle that I'm going to come back to over and over again in this video. And that is same hand, same foot. So this is a super simple balance exercise that we do when we learn to walk. So I'm going to share this super simple video here at the start. This is just like a walking balance movement. So we all know how to walk, right? So when you see this guy making his move, he steps forward, he transfers his weight onto the forward foot, and then you can see his back foot comes up. And so this is the same idea in moving, right? We all do this in walking. It's called a weight transfer, right? And so in climbing, the same thing happens. So we can see you make a step, you lean over that foot, and then the back foot can come up, right? So climbing, we can think about this when we try and climb. So if we think about same hand, same foot, if we're making a move with our right hand, we're gonna try and engage on our right foot. So this is what we're gonna cover, and then we're gonna go back to the video. So how can we analyze movement? In your sessions, outdoors, video is a great tool. So doing some side-by-side action, that's what we're gonna do today in the clinic. Simple to complex movement. So these are some things we're gonna try to discuss. If you have any questions, feel free to do it in the chat or at the end. So we're gonna talk about balanced positions, momentum, static versus dynamic, dead point, intention and timing. So lots of things that are important when we discuss climbing movement. Okay, so back to our video here. So we started our session with the girls. We did some easy moonboard boulders. I had them choose open feet during the warm up. And we're gonna just compare how that looked. Okay, so our first problem we did was a little V2 on the 20-degree moonboard. We had them do open feet. And so what we're looking at here is, like I mentioned on the previous screen, same hand, same foot as we go. So let's talk about this idea. So we can see them both doing this first move. They go up with their right hand and they engage on that right foot. Cheyenne on the left here goes up with her left hand and she pushes off her left foot. Pretty simple, right? So we understand this idea. So let's look at a few more examples. Right hand, right foot. Left hand, left foot. And then right hand, right foot. So this is maybe the most basic movement we can do is this same hand, same foot technique. One thing I want you guys to look at as we're going through this is the difference in their climbing styles. So this is Morgan on the right. We met her earlier. This is Cheyenne on the left. So this is our second problem we did. It's called duck wings. It's on the 20-degree board. And once again, I had them do open feet. And so let's compare again, looking at same hand, same foot, and how they climb a bit differently. Okay, so first move we just saw, Cheyenne is a very open hip climber, so lots of her moves she does with open hip. So we saw a really cool twist right there. So you can see they both do it really similarly. They both do this move really similarly, right? They're making a move with their left hand, and so they put their left foot up and they rock over. You can see Cheyenne on the left here. She perches really far over that foot. This is really good movement. Morgan does a pretty good job, doesn't perch as far over, but still quite good. Right foot, right hand, and then finish match. Cool. So we're gonna compare them again. It's an aptly named boulder. Don't COVID thy neighbor. V3 on the 20-degree board. Once again, we're doing open feet. So let's watch how they climb this a little bit differently. So same hand, same foot, first move. So the second move, right hand, right foot. They're both doing this open hip technique, but we can see a little bit of a different foot position they choose, right? Cheyenne out to the side, nice square body positioning. Morgan does the same square, but right on the inside here. So just a little bit of a difference, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so this is a cool, unique move we just saw. So we've seen a bunch of square climbing. Now we see Cheyenne do this little pogo move. So let's watch that one more time. Cheyenne does this cool little pogo move right here. Cheyenne's on the right. So you might be asking like, oh, is that same hand, same foot? And it actually is, right? So she's making a move with her left hand. And she does this cool little movement with her left hip. So it actually is the same idea, right? So Cheyenne goes a little left hip kip, nice, and makes her move with her left hand. Whereas Morgan on the left, you see she does a back step, yep, and goes up, same hand, same foot. So kind of a cool little bit of a difference there. And then that last move, we can look at that again. Cheyenne, no surprise, does a high left foot right here. open hip, square, and Morgan, we can see, is gonna do a little hip kip, as we saw that Cheyenne did earlier. Okay, so let's check out another movement comparison. So Cheyenne on the left, really square climber, right? Nice perching style. Carly on the right has quite a different style. That's cool to see. So Carly is quite a bit more dynamic with her climbing. So let's compare these two on this V3 warm-up. So they both do this open hip on the first move, pretty cool. So Cheyenne with the open hip here on the second move. Carly does a back step here. You can see she twists in, pretty cool. They both do similar movement on this move. They both do an open hip on this next move. You can see Carly on the right and Cheyenne on the left. Carly with a really nice perch here. This is really important when we do square climbing, that we're able to perch over a foothold like this. Okay, cool, another little difference here. So Cheyenne does a open hip, rock over. You can see Carly's mid pogo move here. Let's watch this a few times. So Carly does, even though she's going right hand, she does a cool right hip kip. Cheyenne does a right open hip. So same hand, same foot, but just a bit of a different style. All right, our next warm up. So this is Carly and Morgan. So once again, Carly's on the right, really nice dynamic, flowy style. Morgan's a bit of an in-between. She likes open hips, twisting. So let's compare this one a little bit and see how it looks. Okay, so both do open hip on the first move. We can see Carly does a bit of a pogo again on the second move. Morgan does right hand, right foot. They both do this open square perch here. We can see Carly, really nice rock over, right? Once again, really important to be able to do this. Get your knee all the way over your foot. Nice square shoulder here. Talked about injury prevention earlier. This is really important in preventing injuries and having a healthy shoulder, being in this 90-degree angle complex, working over our foot. We can see Morgan does a similar move right here, right? 90-degree angles, rocks over her foot really nicely. Morgan with a little twist on that move. That was kind of cool to see. So Carly, once again, does her little pogo on the right. Morgan does a twist hip here, which is really nice. And kind of compare them finishing. Super cool. Nice. Okay, so we're going to check and see if anyone is trying to get in, joining in. Ryan, welcome. Few others coming in. Nice. Okay, cool. So we're going to look at a few others. Okay, so we can kind of get to our first harder boulder after our warm-up. So this is a V6. We're still doing open feet, so we can just kind of compare how the climbers do these moves differently when they have all the options on the board. Okay, so let's look at that first move. Pretty cool. So Morgan twists her hip in here, right hip, same hand, same foot. Cheyenne, no surprise, open right hip as she crosses, which is pretty interesting for this type of cross move. So they both are successful, right? But they do it a bit differently. So Morgan goes for the bit more dynamic style there. Cheyenne with this open hip. Yeah, pretty cool. Let's see this nice rock over, right? We see them both perch over that foot really nicely. Nice open left shoulder. Okay, another good comparison here. So Morgan, really good twister here. We can see her on the left. She finds a drop knee, makes this move really nice. Cheyenne on the right, open left hip, right? Still makes this move really nicely as well. And then nice finish. Sweet. So one reason we did open feet was just to compare when you have limitless options, right? So one thing we find when we climb outside is, as a climber, you have the option to choose what you have, right? So on a route project, on a bouldering project, you can decide what feet you want to use, right? Depending on what the rock gives you. Versus in the gym, we're a bit more constrained, especially on the boards, right? The setters give us options. So when you're outdoors, it's important to have a wide variety of movements you like to do. In the gym, it's more you using your skills to complete the climb. So here we have Morgan and Shai again. I think this is our last warm-up. This is a V5, open feet. So they both do this cool cross here, same hand, same foot. Nice perch over from Morgan and Shai. We can see they both do a really nice job. Nice, cool, interesting position here, right? We can see Morgan pick the higher right foot, Cheyenne with the lower right foot. They can both reach up really nice and static to this next hand hold. Nice, similar style, both of them on this. Lots of square, open hip movements. Nice, super cool. Okay, so these are kind of just some initial warm-ups we did. Our next section we're going to move into is set feet on the board. So we're going to look at our next section. So just a review. We did our warm-ups, right? Open foot holds. Oh, okay, one more try. Just want to make sure we're getting this shared with everyone. I think this should be on everyone's screen now. So just a review, these are some of our like 4 basic movements when we're doing same hand, same foot. So we have this back step, which we saw quite a bit of. We have square climbing, which Cheyenne was great at, right? Twisting, drop knees, and then this little cool pogo style. One thing we saw when we compared everyone was where their foot choices were. So were the feet in line with them? That works really nice on back stepping. Were they out of line, out to either side? That's really nice for twisting and square. Or did they choose a more dynamic pogo style? Okay, so a few questions just to answer. End of our warm-up. So which climber uses what style the most, right? We all have our own strengths and weaknesses in terms of style. So Cheyenne was the super open square climber, right? Really strong hips, really good at rocking over feet. Carly was on the further end of the spectrum. Lots of pogoing, dynamic style. And then Morgan was somewhere in between. She'd use some open hips, she uses some twists, and some more of a dynamic style. So how do these styles affect your efficiency, your strength, and your performance? So in terms of efficiency, right, sometimes moving quicker, more dynamic can be better. But you're going to be putting more load onto your fingers, your upper body, right? When you're jumping between holds versus if you're keeping your feet on. So that's something to be aware of when we're training or when we're on a route project and we're at the very end and maybe we're getting fatigued. Should we go for a more efficient movement option than jumping from hold to hold, right? And then performance. When we perform, we kind of go to our lowest threshold skill. So if your movement is really good and you're trying to perform and you're getting tired, does your movement get better or does it get worse? That's kind of something to think about when we're doing this. Okay, so our next section, we're moving to some projecting on the board. So we're moving from open feet to set feet on the board. So from less constraints to more constraints, right? So on the moon board, you only have specific feet you can use when you're climbing. And this constrains what type of movement you can do, right? So in general, this is going to be more dynamic, quicker, and is going to be a bit more of a strength-based climbing because you don't have all those foot options, right? Now you have to just use what the setter intended on the board. So I think board climbing is great for improving strength and steep style climbing. It's going to make you stronger and more dynamic and teach you about tension, but is maybe not always the most efficient type of movement that we like to practice. So let's go back and we're going to watch some new climbing on the board. Do you have any questions so far as I'm moving back over? Okay. All right, so we're gonna move into some set feet on the board. So it's a 20-degree board still, V5. So let's check it out, let's compare. So set feet, right? We have 2 starting feet and then whatever feet options. Okay, so they both end up doing this higher left foot option, right? We can see Carly on the right, high left foot. Trans just a touch behind, but she's also gonna do this high left foot after she matches, yeah. We do this cool crossover. So let's look at that move really quick from Cheyenne. So she's going right hand to this hold. She only has this foot. So if you remember before, I'm pretty sure she chose a right foot right here, but now she doesn't have that. And so look at her right hip. Look at all this generation she gets from that right hip, right, as she goes for this hold. So this is sort of our pogo idea where from this right hip, she generates over and across her body to reach that next hold. Similar move we saw before, so both of them, this right hip perch. Carly just finished this move. So right hand, right foot as they both move up. Cool dynamic style. So this is a unique move we see here. So Cheyenne's going left hand here to this crimp, and she already brought her right foot up. If she had open feet, she would maybe choose a left foot right here, yeah, to go with her left hand, but she doesn't have that. So instead of foot matching, she goes for a little back flag to help her balance, right? So let's watch that one more time. So now all of a sudden with these constraints, Cheyenne's trying to move a bit different, right? Maybe a bit less efficient. You can see when she does that move, she's locking off her right arm, right? Lots of lock off strength required here. So we can see now all of a sudden we have constraints on the board. The style changes quite a bit, right? Okay, so let's watch Carly climb this V8 on the board. I think that's what we saw. Let's go back, let's see. Oh no, problem 8, sorry. V5, open feet. So let's watch and see what Carly has for us here. Okay, so same hand, same foot, push, left, left. Right foot, right hand, right? Really nice. We're moving back to some open feet. We can see all the nice movements Carly's making, really efficient, right? We're gonna compare this boulder without open feet after this. So left foot, left hand, nice, really smooth from Carly. Really nice style, so pretty efficient here. So we can see Morgan, one of these attempts is ascend, one of them is a fall, so we're gonna kind of compare. Once again, open feet. She does it quite similarly each time. But we can see on the right, she's lagging quite a bit. Yep, and so we can see that the one thing I wanted to touch on here was the timing and pacing, right? So we can see on the left, Morgan sends the boulder problem, right? And she also moves quite a bit more efficient. So watch on the left, she's moving faster. She knows her movement's better compared to the right, which is her first try. The movements are pretty similar, but she's moving quicker on the left. So here's where we get into kind of pacing and timing. We also can see a bit of a different option on the end. So when she does it, she goes for right hand, right foot, really nice balance move here. And when she falls on the right, she goes for left, left, but it's just not quite enough, right? She just misses the hold. So she goes left, just hips her out from the wall, right? Just misses the hold. It's kind of a cool, unique choice here from Morgan. She decides to go right hand, and that was the way. Whereas when she falls, left hand, not quite the way for her. Okay, so let's compare shy, same thing that we just looked at. So same hands, same foot. When she's moving more efficient and quick on the left, kind of maybe has a better idea of her movements she's making. Let's see how she decides to do this last move. She goes right hand or right foot. So she goes right, and she gets it done. And on the left, same as Morgan, right? She goes left, almost exact same movement also. She goes left hand, left foot. And just not quite enough when she sticks it, right? We can see as she goes for it, hips come out from the wall. Not quite good momentum, and she misses it, and she's off. So two good comparisons just side by side of the same climber doing the move and then falling on the move. Okay, so now we're going to look at same boulder problem, Morgan and Carly. So Carly on the right, Morgan on the left. This is set feet now, right? So we can see a difference in this move already. So instead of moving our feet and doing this move a little more efficiently, they kind of pounce to this pinch hold here, right? Quite a bit more physical. Both of them have to do the move pretty similarly. So much more strength and timing required on that move. A bit of a different movement there. Pretty cool. See how Carly does the last move. Left foot, left hand. Really nice. Let's see what Morgan comes up with here. Left, left. Really nice. So we can already see now with that not open feet, they had to do a much more physical option. So here on the board, we move from 20 to 40 degrees. So total change in style. So kind of low angle now to steep, hard angle climbing. So now we're just moving into some set feet boulders. I think we have one or two projects that we're working on. So let's check out this boulder problem. Cool little V6 here. So crux move right off the bat. So they both fall. Let's take a look at that again. So a cool little jump move with our left hand. We can see they both do left hand, left foot on this move. Morgan tries to keep her foot on, and then you can see as she sticks it on the left here, she loses tension and her foot comes off. He has a little dab. And on the right, Cheyenne goes for it. Doesn't quite hit the handhold right? She dabs on the ground here. So a bit more precision required. So two different styles on that move, but they both end up falling. So now let's look at Carly on the right, Morgan on the left, same boulder problem. So different foot choice, right? A little bit more out to the left for Carly. She kind of is using both her feet. Morgan just does that left foot a little bit more underneath her. Wow, cool. They're both pretty precise with that move, right? They accept that the foot cut is going to happen. So we can see they're both up in their arms, right? Much more strength required on that move than if we had open feet. So some cool different beta there. Morgan with the bump, Carly with the other move. And then nice finish pounce from both of them. Pretty sweet. So this is a cool side-by-side project comparison. Let's see if we've got anyone else trying to check in. Cool, Jesse, welcome. Good to see you. Once again, anyone, if you have any questions, just put them up in the chat and we can see if we can answer them. Okay, cool. Let's watch Shy send this. So we just did a side-by-side of Carly and Morgan sending. Cheyenne took a bit of work to figure this one out. Oh, we're going to see this. So on the left is her failed attempt on that first move. She does it, as we saw on the right. So let's just watch a little bit of a difference of how she sticks this move. So fails on the left. We can see as she sticks the hold, look how far out from the wall she is on the left here. Whereas on the right, she's about to stick the hold, right? Let's move this out of the way. And look how close her body is, right? So she has much more time to hold that hold. Much more time to engage, right? Small differences, but those small differences matter. Okay, she's gonna make these few moves in the middle. We saw this before. Here's another cool move she failed on earlier. So this little pounce out left, quite a dynamic option, right? She doesn't have the open feet, so she can't just put her left foot on to go with her left hand. She has to do a left pogo. Doesn't quite stick it on the left, we can see. Goes for it. Maybe improper engagement or just not knowing that she's gonna have to try that hard to do it. And on the right, we see she tries a little bit harder, a little bit better, pushing through her left pogo. And then nice, gets the send. Cool. Okay, so here's our last boulder problem we're going to look at. Draw a Revia V7 on the 40. So we're going to compare Carly and Morgan here off the start. So they do this beginning a little different. So we can see Morgan does this foot first beta, which is pretty cool. Carly does left foot and does a match. So this is a cool idea to think about. So Carly's following kind of our same hand, same foot idea. She's going up left hand. She has her left foot here. Morgan is putting her foot where she wants it to be later, right? So we'll see Carly put her foot up here in a minute. Yeah, right there. So Carly puts her foot there after the move. And Morgan put her foot in place before, which is pretty cool little technique to try, especially if you're flexible. We can put our feet where we want them to be. Sometimes this is a sneaky way to be a bit more efficient. So now when Morgan sticks that hold, she has a really nice balanced position here versus how Carly did that first movement. Okay, so another cool pogo out left. We can see Carly on the right. She goes for it, misses the hold, right? We can see right here. Doesn't quite stick it. Timing's a bit off. See Morgan on this move. I think pretty similar. She goes for the pogo. Oh, also fumbles it, right? Yeah, just a bit off. So we're going to watch this move again. Another option of how you could do it. So Carl's this time just with a bit better precision. Hits it. Morgan on the right, she does hit it better, but just doesn't quite engage properly. Still misses it a bit. So now let's watch them do the whole boulder. So like I said, Carl's with this low foot option. Morgan decided to do that when she went for the send. Carly on the right here sticks this big pounce move really nice. Nice foot squeeze on the finish. Nice, super cool. Sweet. So that was our last projecting boulder. So let's go back over to our, just a review of what we were talking about, right? So board style. So how does the board style affect our efficiency, strength, and performance? So a bit less efficient, to be honest, right? We can't always use our open feet that we like to use when we're sport climbing outside or when we're on boulder problems outside, right? But it does offer greater strength gains because we're jumping around. We're not using as efficient movement. And so we have to instead use greater strength and momentum in our upper body and fingers in order to make up for that difference, right? It's a good training tool in that way. But in terms of efficiency, we want to also make sure we practice better skills than what we are doing on the board, especially if we're trying to route climb. And then in terms of performance, really helps with our strength, like I just mentioned. But if we're trying to send a hard route or a long boulder problem and efficiency is maybe where we're lacking, we're getting more pumped than we need to be, and then this board style, we don't want to ingrain that movement too deeply, especially if we're trying to send our route projects outside. We want to have a bit more of an efficient style. Okay, so we're going to just move a bit. Here's our last section. We're going to move into circuits and route climbing. So we were looking at board climbing, what happened when we were climbing on the board. Now we're going to look what happens when we climb on the circuit wall, which is kind of cool. So stuff that matters here, right, is our pacing, our rhythm. So we're going to look and see. We're going to look at it at double time to compare. So we're going to see how long it takes Cheyenne to send this circuit. This is like a little 20-move circuit. None of them had tried before. So we can see Cheyenne with this nice open square hip style she's climbing with. Nearly every move, right? Lots of open hip that she's doing on every movement. We can see she's moving quite efficient here. Nice use of open hip heel hook. Really good movement patterns here from Cheyenne. We can see she's getting a bit fatigued here. Shoulders are winging out, right? But she still has good movement. Let's see her as she gets to the end here. She goes for this open hip square style. She's quite tired. Doesn't quite latch the hold right. You can see she's pretty surprised. So she started at 9:16 if we look again. Yep, so she's at 9:16. So this took her about a little over a minute when she falls, right? So she falls at about 10:30, so 1:15 for Cheyenne. So let's watch Morgan here. Same circuit, right? Same exact circuit as before. She started at about 10:30, right? It's nice open hip style movement here. Open hip, nice and efficient. Let's see what happens as Morgan gets pumped, what movement she works into. Open hip, open hip. So quite similar to Cheyenne. Nice use of the heel hook, right? Getting little shakes. This is what we like to see as we're getting more fatigued. She's able to get little shakes here, right? Nice use of some twisting style here from Morgan versus Cheyenne's open hip. If you're able to twist, it's going to help pull you into the wall. Morgan sticks that hold that Cheyenne didn't quite stick. Goes up, left foot, left hand, nice, and gets it done. So Morgan took a similar time to Shy, a little over a minute, and just a bit different movement pattern on that final move, a bit more of a twist. Nice, so now let's watch Carly do the same. So she goes at about 12:15 here. See how long it takes her to do it. Nice use of twisting and open hip style. Right, we see lots of nice balance movement through the start of these circuits, which is great to see from these ladies. Not a lot of foot cuts, right? Foot cuts are going to use a lot of energy for us only when we need to use them. Wow, nice use of the heel perch here, right? Putting some weight over the feet, less weight on the hands. Nice use of twisting here, right? See Carly as she gets to this finish move. Yeah, nice. So similar to Morgan, right? She does a bit of a twist here. Look at her right leg. She twists in that right leg, sticks that hold a bit more efficiently than Cheyenne did. Nice, same foot as Morgan, left hand, left foot. Nice, gets the send. All of them took about 1.5 minutes roughly on the send. So one thing we can look at as we are comparing circuits is how long it takes you to climb. So this was the second circuit we did, which we're going to compare. So I have a side-by-side of Carly here climbing, right? So right side, she's moving a bit more quickly. She knows her movement patterns, right? This tends to what happen when we climb a route multiple times. We kind of get a bit better movement. So one thing we're going to look at as Carly moves through this section here is this move that's pretty tricky, this cross under here. So let's just compare how she did that differently first off. So on the right side, she has the open hip style. She's going left hand through, and she uses her left foot to be pretty balanced. So we can see left foot, left hand, pretty nice. On the left though, she does a bit of a different move, right? She does a cool left drop knee to do this move instead of that open hip, right? So she twists in, really cool move to make this unwind. I think she's getting a bit fatigued here. She's got this open hip. Let's see what happens as she makes this move. So we can see on the right, she just tries to go for the open hip beta that we saw Cheyenne try to use earlier when she fell. And Carl's didn't quite have enough strength and she fell. She came in, foot pop. See on the left side, open hip, same thing, right? Takes the fall. So let's see what happens as we get into this movement with Cheyenne. So same start. Pretty cool looking side by side. She does the moves a bit different and a bit more controlled, and she knows them better. Then let's see what she does here on this tricky twist move. Okay, so cool. On the right side, she uses a nice heel perch, which heel perches are always great for taking weight off her hands, right? She does the move a bit more nicely on the right. She then falls after, but we can see she uses this heel perch. She gets good contact. On the left here, she tries to just stay straight and strong. And we can see what happens as she crosses under. She just misses this hold. And she's out. Okay, so now let's compare Morgan on the same start here. Okay, so she knows a bit better what she's doing on the left, a bit more quickly, right? This is important with our pacing as we know our movement's better. Let's see what she does on the cross move. Pretty tricky cross move here. So we get a bit fatigued, right? Morgan goes for this open hip solution. Pretty cool. And then she's off. Let's see what she does when she actually gets the move. Oh, she's looking tired. Let's see if she can do it. Oh, she's out of there. So neither way for Morgan. So we're going to look a little closer at this move. Cheyenne goes for the heel perch again. Nice, and she's able to make that move a bit better than the time before, right? She gets through it. So the creative use of her feet and good efficient movement, especially as we get tired. She gets that move that Carly fell on earlier. Oh. So kind of some cool differences in terms of when we're talking bouldering and when we're talking sport climbing. So last section we're going to look at here is what warm-ups we can do to kind of ingrain these movements, right? So I kind of gave that walking example earlier, right? We all learn how to walk really well. We get really balanced. In our climbing, if we can do the same, if we can learn these balanced movements, then when we get pumped, we're trying to perform, we get a little nervous, right? Those good habits are going to come out. So these are 3 really good warm-ups I like to do with my team, and I do for myself that give us good twisting mobility and movement. They give us good rock over weight transfer movement, and they give us good momentum. So I think, let's see, you guys might not be able to see this screen here, so I'm just going to make sure you can. So yeah, 90-90s, foundations, and 90-90 flow. So I'm just going to show you these 3 warm-ups. These are really cool to do. I would recommend doing them at the start of your session. So I had these girls do the warm-ups for us. Let's check them out. Okay. So our first one, 90-90s. We can see Cheyenne here holding us. So we have a 90-90 angle in our knees here. And we can see that's our start position. We're going to move through, right? You can kind of imagine Cheyenne doing a drop knee on the wall, moving back and forth, right? So if we don't have this mobility on the ground, how can we expect to have it on the wall, right? So we can see Cheyenne moving nicely side to side. This is the second step. We do a bit of a weight transfer up over our knee. Yep. So a bit of some strength and mobility for our hip flexors. So this is a really great warm-up to do before you start your climbing to ingrain that good hip mobility and movement. And there's some fun things we can play around with that. Okay, so Carly, our second one we do here. These are called foundations. So we can see her doing a nice weight transfer, right? You can imagine her over to one side with a perch, and then she rocks over, right? This is a really good movement to have dialed down. She starts with her hands on the ground, right, to make it a bit less intense. And then as she warms up and is starting to feel better, she's going to use less and less of her hands. But you can see she has really good foot perch going on here, right? Really good mobility all the way over. Okay, hands are off the ground, right? It's a bit more intense. But this is a really good climbing movement that we do on the wall a lot. Okay, now she's going to add in a little bit of some leg strength, a little bit of a a modified squat, right? But she's still kind of got that same movement pattern. Then finally, we add in a cool weight transfer drop knee movement. So she goes back on her butt, does a cool little drop knee, side to side. So these are called foundations, another really good warm-up to implement. Okay, and then our last one is kind of a play on our 90-90. So this one's called the triple extension. So we can see Morgan, she does the 90-90 right, and then you can see she extends all the way over each side. So she extends at her shoulder here, at her hip, and at her ankle. So this movement is really good when we're moving dynamically. Any sort of jumping, dead pointing we have to do, right? This is ingraining that movement pattern into us. And so you can see she's starting to move a little bit faster to faster, side to side as she gets warm. So especially all of us when we're sitting at our computers all day, driving a lot, all these movements are really good to do before we start to make sure our body is moving well and that we've got these nice balanced movements. Cool. Okay, so let's see if we have any final things here to fill you guys in on. So we just covered those last warm-ups. Pretty cool. Want to learn a little bit more, I would say follow these few people on Instagram. There's some really cool like movement analysis gurus. Chibatore is a cool Japanese movement guy, does a lot of cool hip flowy movement. Udini is a cool comp German free flow movement guy, does some really cool stuff. Kubanovo does a lot of cool injury prevention, good movement out of Czech. And then Move You is a good, just kind of conscious moving understanding that we can have with our own body. So check these guys out on Instagram if you want to see a bit more. And then that's it for me today. So any questions anyone has? We kind of covered a lot of stuff. Pretty dense topics here for sure. But I'd say if you have any takeaways from today, it's the same hand, same foot. So when you're analyzing movement, learning to do stuff better and more efficient, think about same hand, same foot. So if I'm moving with my right hand, I'm going to pull on my right foot. It's probably one of the most efficient movements to understand how to do. And then I would say those warm-ups. Those are really good to do before you start. So if you take anything away from today, I would say it's those two things. Anyone have any questions? Feel free in the chat, or we're hitting about an hour here. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer those. Otherwise, feel free to reach out after the fact. Or on Instagram, always at Palmer Larsen. Cool. Hope you guys learned something cool and unique that you can take here, whether it's to your gym session or to your outdoor project, route, or boulder problem, whether it's just videoing yourself to learn more, doing some side-by-side, seeing if you're doing it the most efficient, same hand, same foot, whatever it is. Hope you learned something that can help you to go send your proj and get a little bit better at climbing. Cool. Oh, here's Sam and I. Thanks everyone for joining in.
Yeah, thank you. And I will email everyone that code for the sample Gnarly box. So thanks Gnarly for supporting Palmer and doing this clinic. And yeah, if you guys have questions, I can probably share Palmer's email. But yeah, otherwise reach out to him on Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you everyone.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks.
Thanks guys.